Right then guys, hiya and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of work on my grandparents' car. This is doing the glow plugs on a 1.5 DCI engine. This is a Renault Clio, but this is the same DCI engine as used in the Clio, the Scenic, various Renault models, a few Nissans and so on. Quite a few cars use this engine. So the glow plugs are hidden under this cover here. They're actually at the top of the engine. But first, we want to get the engine warming up, because you don't want to do this on a cold engine. You want them warmed up for the threads to be a bit freer. So let's get her warming up a tiny bit. So I expect this to be a bit of a pain because the glow plugs are a bit, yeah, it's 2 degrees. So give it a couple of cycles. And then make sure it's out of gear. See how well it starts. Yeah, so that won't go for quite a while. So that's definitely a glow plug related issue on these engines, because they do rely on the glow plugs. Some modern diesels don't need glow plugs in this sort of temperature. The Peugeot engines, for example, they can start just fine till like -15 or so without glow plugs. Renault engines, however, it needs glow plugs, and you can actually smell it. There's probably a bit of blue smoke, in fact, as well, because it's, oh no, nothing. No, that's running pretty cleanly. But we just want to let this warm up a little bit now. But while waiting for this to warm up, we can start taking off some little pieces and bits. So, for example, we can remove the cold air duct into the air filter for a start. We don't want to remove any plugs or anything more important like that, but we can remove little pieces like this while waiting for it to warm up a little bit. So this is a cold air feed, which delivers cold air from the front grille straight to the air filter, because engines prefer cold air. You can see it actually makes quite a difference to sound as well. So we'll get that to the side. We also need to take these boost hoses off, which Renault gives us a little flip for, so they're pretty straightforward. And then this plastic cover's going to come off. So let me let it warm up and take a few pieces off, and then I'll show you what's going on. Now, I'm going to show you doing one glow plug, and then I'm going to do the rest. And there's a specific way you need to do this to make sure they don't snap off, because if it snaps off, it's game over. Got my 10mm long reach socket, and a long extension, and then my ratchet. The long extension is not 100% ideal because it allows you to get more twist on, and you don't want to twist. You want to make sure you're dead straight on at all times. You want to make sure there's no twist at all, ever. But that's what we need to reach down there. So you're going to go on, and then you have to slowly crack it off. Now I'm going to point the camera somewhere where it can see what I'm doing, and I'll show you how I'm going about this. Okay, camera position is not ideal, but what we're going to do is, now it's warmed up and there's plenty of WD-40 on there, we're going to get the socket on, get ourselves into a good position we're happy to put force on, and then slowly apply a bit of pressure. Slowly turn. It starts to go tight like that, so it's started to move. I can see it starting to move. Tighten it back up slightly, and then go again. So you can hear the threads are a bit dry. You want to go really slowly. That's gone tight. So now we're going to tighten back up again to clean up the threads. Go again. Really slowly. Make sure you're straight on that as well. Gone tight. Back forwards. You can hear how horrible them threads are, and that's what you don't want to mess up. Gone tight, forwards again. And then back. And there it goes. We're loosened off and we're free to go. And you do that on every single one. until it works its way free. Because these are only little threads, it's only a little thing, easy to break. Especially on something that's been in an engine for who knows how many years, who knows how many thousands of miles, who knows how many heat cycles. That's been warmed up from stone cold to glowing hot numerous times, many thousands of times. And it's going to seize itself in there. Not only that, you got the soot and the carbon from burning the fuel. And they're only little threads. If you break it off, it's game over. That's a head-off job then to drill it out and get it repaired. Or possibly new head. So you want to make sure you don't destroy these. So you start spinning freely now. So I'm going to use my long extension like a screwdriver and slowly back it out. And there's a scrap man. Is it still, or is it out? It's definitely, there we go, now it's nearly out. That seemed like a lot of thread, looking, compared to the new ones, but then, or is it just, might be my socket stuck between the bits on the head, you know, actually. Is it still coming? No, it's definitely still in there, but it's slowly coming. Yeah, I can see it turning, and that's got a lot freer now. It's probably nearly out, you know. Let me try grabbing that, but I'm going to put my phone on charge quickly because it is low on power. I'm trying to do this. Okay, it actually turns out that that squeaking was the fact it was undone. It was just stuck by the carbon. So I got myself some needle nose pliers, nice big ones here, and I literally pulled it and it came straight out. So here's the old plug. Probably seen better days. So let's grab ourselves a new one to compare it to. One looks new, one looks a bit like it's seen better days. And if we look at them, they are sort of, they look the same. They're fine, they're identical. So let's fit the new glow plug and then let's do the other three. I'm going to bring you along for this. I was going to just pause and take the other three glow plugs out and then leave it at that. But I want to bring you along for this because that's a bit good for me, slightly concerning. You notice how it was all bubbling, the WD-40 around all four of the plugs, apart from the one, which is the one we removed, which is a bit tight. Actually, I think all four were bubbling slightly, but this one that we've just removed was quite tight to undo, right? That one I've just undone there, I didn't even turn it with a ratchet. I just put my socket on it and spun it by hand, and it came straight out. Good for me, because it came straight out, but it means whoever's last done this hasn't done a good job. That one's the same. That one's exactly the same. I haven't even cracked these off yet. Right, okay. Whoever's last done this job hasn't tightened down the glow plugs properly. And that's surprising that it's not blown them out. Or been chuffing, obviously, or lost a massive amount of compression through that. That's quite shocking in a way. Right, I haven't even touched that, I promise you. That one's still got the plug on. I'll show you on that one. Hopefully that one will be the same. See, that feels like it should be out, but I don't know whether it will be. So get my needle nose pliers down there if I can. Yeah, that's loose, but it's not out yet. Let's have a look at this one, just so I can prove what I'm on about. So, take the plug off. Handily, they've got a nice little tab on the plug, so you can get your needle nose pliers on and unplug it without damaging it. Thank you, Renault, for one thing. Changing headlight bulbs, nightmare of a job. Glow plugs, Easy. Explain that one. No, it would be if I could actually. My hands weren't too big to get in. Don't really want to pull it by the wire, but I just want something moving out of the way. Because I don't want to cut this. I want to show that if this plug's going to be loose, this is exactly as I found them. Come on. Can I get my fingers in there? It's quite tight. There you go. Right, let's see how tight this one is. Looks like even going to fit. Oh yeah. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Right, okay. So who's last done the glow plugs on this? And why aren't they tightened? Well, any road, they're coming out at least. That's a good thing. That's the worst part of doing glow plugs, is hoping they come undone, because diesel is naturally a very carbony, a very sooty, a very dirty fuel. And because of all the heat cycles, because they're tiny little threads, not only do the threads get seized, but then you're stuck by all the carbon, because diesel naturally being a dirty fuel as well. And you don't want to snap off, because then it's game over for the engine until you get the top end rebuilt. So yeah, that is a little needs a bit more unscrewing, but you can see how they were. So I'll continue taking them out and then I'll come back. All 4 glow plugs are out, so it's time to put the new ones in. That one, and that one undid by hand. That one we had to break off. Quite funny, it's the one I decided to record first, is the most awkward one, but hey. That one unscrewed straight away, but it was actually really stuck in. I had to really yank it one with the needle pliers to get it out. But the rest, the other 2, undid by hand and pretty much just pulled straight out, which is a little bit strange. But hey, it is what it is. New glow plugs going in, so hopefully this will cure the starting issue. So, carefully drop them into the hole and then tighten them up. I'll continue putting these in and then I'll come back. I would also like to just quickly point out, I've put a tiny drop of anti-seize or copper grease on them to make it easier for the next owner. You don't want to put too much on, because you don't want to make a mess, and you don't want to add too much lubricant to the threads, because it'd be very easy then to accidentally over tighten them. So you don't want to make that mistake, but you want just a little bit on there just to make it easier for the next person who has to change the glow plugs, because that might just be yourself. With all 4 plugs positioned and ready to be tightened up, I found a long reach 10mm for my screwdriver. So I'm going to tighten them in by hand to begin with, so we can make sure it's starting the threads okay. But yeah, that one has. That one has. And a little bit more awkward to get to, because I had to move this pipe so I could get across and just reposition this pipe a little bit. I've left it attached at the back to save having to undo more than I need to, because I can just quite easily work like this without moving that whole pipe. Okay, and then finally that one, which has to be get from, is it this side of the fuel rail? So all 4 plugs are now tightened up to the point where they stopped with a screwdriver by hand. So now I'm going to use my smaller ratchet just so we don't accidentally over tighten them. So on, tighten it up, that should do. Next one, that should do. Next one, you get out the road, come on you. That should do. And then finally, you don't want to over tighten them, that should do. Right, now I'm going to put all the plugs back onto the glow plugs, then we're going to start it up, let it run for a bit, and see how it behaves. My uncle's just messaged me talking about his car, funnily enough, which is a bit ironic because it's the same engine as this. That's a bit funny, that is. Because he's originally going to get me to his glow plugs and then he ended up taking it to another garage. But yeah, let me finish putting these plugs on and then we'll start it up and see how start it up, let it run to burn off all the rubbish while we put it back together. That's just to make sure that there's no smells from all the WD-40 and stuff we sprayed. So it burns all that off so it doesn't put any nasty smells through the blowers for our customer. If you're working for someone, or in this case, my family member. All the plugs are reattached, so let's run it up and make sure everything's okay and let it run for a minute and then we'll reconnect everything. We're not going to see how the glow plugs are performing now because the engine's already been warmed up, but let's go and see and run it and make sure everything's okay anyway. My daughter's now going to kill me because she sat in the car keeping them warm. Hello. I've come to run car.
I want to run the car.
Wait for glow plugs. Start it straight up. You have the heats on if you want. There you go. Running alright now. Was before, but it's running alright still. So, good job. It smells less fumey as well, so the glow plugs are probably working a bit better now. And we'll find out in the next few days how it starts up. But there you are, glow plugs on your Renault 1.5 DCi. Reassemble all this now, and that's the job done.